Well, today I told you for Martin Luther King Day I had a very special guest in line for you folks. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it because I know this is going to be an interesting conversation. And my guest is Sandra Turner-Barnes, who is an award-winning poet and author from southern New Jersey and is a native of the historical town of Lawnside, New Jersey, as well as the city of Camden. Sandra holds a degree in business administration from Pierce College and is a former executive director of the Camden County Cultural and Heritage Commission. She has served as board president for Camden City Elementary Charter School, City Invincible, is a former member of the Board of Trustees of the New Jersey State Black Cultural and Heritage Initiative, and has served on the adjunct faculty for Rutgers University. And we'd like to welcome to Turning Life Corners. Welcome, Sandra. How are you?
I am wonderful today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on Martin Luther King Day.
Thank you. It is my pleasure. Love Martin.
Well, you know, we're going to get right into it because there's a lot to cover with you. So we're going to get right into the interview. Now, from what I understand, you've been a poet since the age of 6. And give me a little bit of background about that.
Well, I was born here and I had an older brother, Gerald. And we used to fight all the time. I mean, I just wanted to be just like him, so I would follow him. I wanted to do the things that he did, and we always fought. But Mommy said, no noise, which meant you better not make any noise. So
not like today we say no noise and they say yeah right.
Oh, no. I couldn't even imagine what some of the kids do today. But so my brother Gerald and I, we would write each other little insult poems and slide them underneath each other's bedroom doors. And you could hear us laughing because, at 6 years old, you're just learning words, so each new word was a new test, a new challenge to write a poem.
So it's like you were trying to one-up each other.
Always. It was just, it was a wonderful challenge to have an older brother like my brother Gerald. And as it turned out, he wound up with 3 baby sisters. He said, well, where's my brother? I want a brother. He had 3 baby sisters, and but he wouldn't let us out the house unless we could box. Okay? So here you have these 3 little girls with these long pigtails, sweet and quiet as they could be, but he wouldn't let us out the house unless we could defend ourselves. Growing up in Camden, it was like, okay, so we learned to box, and we always
girls,
did.
watch out, they can fight, so watch out for them.
Yeah, and we never picked a fight, but we were kind of picked on. Coming here from Lawnside and moving into Camden, now you can imagine we weighed, each of us maybe about 20 pounds apiece, but just little things, and with hair all the way down our backs, so we go to Camden looking different, talking different, sounding different. So we got picked on a little bit.
You got the business, as they say.
Yeah, they just gave us the business, and they didn't come alone, But it just took one fight per school, and nobody ever messed with you again.
You told them you weren't to be messed with.
Yeah, we had to defend ourselves, and that's what our brother did for us,
Okay. Well, as we're going to move a little bit along here, because I want to talk about your first self-published book of poetry, Always a Lady, in 1994, that sold over 7,000 copies. Tell us a little bit about that.
That book actually saved my life, Daryl. I became a widow at the age of 34. I had 2 little girls, And they were watching me like a hawk. And I knew for the three of us to get through this, that I had to stay focused. So I kind of moved into their lives. But while they slept, I wrote. I wrote poetry, and I kept writing poetry, and that poetry saved my life. It dealt with the anger and with the fear and all the challenges were in that book, Always a Lady. And so we survived, and they were watching me to see how I was going to deal with it, and they dealt with it accordingly. It was a great loss, but it was something we survived.
And it was just the beginning, because the next year in '95, you won the Ebony Magazine Award, the International Literary Award for short fiction for your story Burnt Bacon, as well as your children's book Beyond the Back of the Bus, which was a tribute to Rosa Parks and the Civil Rights Movement. So that was just the beginning in '94.
Oh, yeah, it was, because all the poetry I had written throughout the years, and I'd hidden in a shoebox under my bed. I'll never forget the day my mom came to me and she's carrying this box. She says, "Here, what are you going to do with this?" And I was so grateful she kept it for me.
Wow.
But
your mom kept all this stuff for you.
Yeah.
Huh.
She was the mom that had all the report cards and all the A's and all the stuff for all four of her children.
She was proud of all of you.
Yes, she was. She was the best. She was the best. So I started writing again, but for my children, I wrote. There's a piece in the book called "Hey You Guys," and it's to my daughters, who, as you know, are not guys. But I call you guys to remember, to remind you that you're just as free to grow and pursue in life what comes to you naturally. Don't ever let that be a deterrent. Let it be something that encourages you and challenges you. Because girls are awesome. Just as awesome as boys, I'm telling you.
And they're taking over right now as we speak. So, I saw a girl one day with a t-shirt, "Girls Rule the World." And I told her, I said, "You know what? You're exactly right." Exactly right.
You're right. But we haven't been able to own our power. There's always been the kind of people that would hold you down just to hold you down, So there's going to be a difference. There's going to be a difference in America.
Oh yeah, it's going to change because it has to change.
It has to change.
Because it's affecting too many people now.
It is. Yeah, that harassment thing. But even on jobs, and there's always been things that impacted women. They've never yet been paid the same fee as men have for doing the same job.
And black women especially, they got paid less than white women. And see, because the black experience kind of understands what's going on with the Me Too movement, although black women are involved in it. Black women have lived that for years and years and years. Just like the black experience, black men and women have experienced it. So, that's why it's so much change going on at one time that one group of people can't really deal with.
I know, and you are so absolutely right. When I think of the sacrifices that our ancestors made for us, and I know the anger was there. I know, but they held all that stuff in. And if I get an opportunity to share a poem with you about how the ancestors speak to me, because they do speak to me.
When would you like to do that?
Well, after I do the poem for Martin.
Okay.
Okay, because I've got a brand new poem for Martin.
That we're going to do on the air today?
Yeah, that we are going to do
Oh,
on the
well,
air
let's
today.
get through this interview so you can do that then. So
Okay.
we're going to get right back to the interview.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to move a little forward to 2011. And your book of poetry, but mostly love, was released by BTS Enterprises.
Yeah.
And it was nominated for the National Book Award.
Yeah. This is But Mostly Love.
Ah.
And the title of the book is based on a poem that I wrote for my mother.
Okay.
And I wrote this poem for her. I have performed this poem for her. She was suffering with breast cancer at the time. And I wrote the poem at a workshop, a Black Writers Conference up in the Catskill Mountains. I've been so blessed. I mean, I was
The one
there.
that Peg Leg Bass joint was.
Yes, it was.
See, a lot of folks don't know about Peg Leg Bass.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
But by that time, Betty Shabazz had purchased it.
Okay.
And so the Black Writers Conference leased the facility for 6 days. And they sent invitations out to writers and poets from all across the country. And when I got that invitation, I was like, oh my Jesus, are you kidding me?
A lot of people don't realize how big of a thing Peg Leg Bass place was up there.
Yeah.
That was like the black mecca for relaxing. Because once you step foot on there, the one thing he used to always say was, y'all can do whatever you like because I have my own private police force and you don't have to worry about somebody coming in here and bother you. Just don't break the law.
Okay. I never experienced that. I never got a chance to see
No?
it, but I got to tour it then, and that was in 1999. I'm
Wow.
pretty sure. So
There you
here
go.
I am with, okay, Amir Baraka, who became such a dear friend. Hakeem Mahabudi, who is my publisher. He published Beyond the Back of the Bus. But I'm also in a global anthology with him right now and Cornel West. That anthology is called Not Our President.
Right, we were going to get into that. But since you're into it, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
There was a call that went out that said, send us your work, your essays on how you feel about, the inequity and the kind of things that Donald Trump is bringing to the forward with his Let's Make America Great Again. We know what that means. I mean, if when he thought America was great was when there was slavery in this country, forced slavery, that when all the work was being done by somebody else, but all the credit was being taken by those who thought they were great because they were cruel enough and evil enough to steal a people in order to build their land.
Correct.
Well, so I had an experience that I needed to write about. I've got several experiences that I need to write about, but this one was called The Deadly Role of White Privilege, White Supremacy. And it was based on a quote that was said to me. I was told that in America, bigotry is bequeathed and legislated. Which means to me that you're willing to tell a lie and then will that lie down to your children and feed your children that lie over the breakfast table, Lord, when they're just nursing as babies, and just to keep this lie going, and to pass laws to make sure that that lie is told.
And exercised.
And exercise, yes indeed, yes indeed. The issue is, though, the world is hurting. White people as well as black, but when you're told all your life that you're better, you're this, you're that, you're other, and then you find out through living that that's not true, and you start self-medicating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because instead of accepting the fact that you've been lied to, you think that there's something wrong with you.
You can't be truly free.
Yes. Yes. So nobody's been set free of history's time clock.
That's right.
Nobody walked away from those slave blocks whole. You know, so it's just a lot of healing that needs to be done for this world to grow.
So we live on a legacy of lies.
Absolutely.
And you keep covering up a lie, you keep covering up a lie, you keep covering up a lie. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But the people don't understand that when you uncover these lies, it's something that a lot of people can't get past because they just can't understand why this happened.
Yes. Yes. And for us to finally have access to education and jobs and opportunities that were withheld from the black race for so long, that just feels like the right thing to do. But for other people, it's like oppression. Oh, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do? They're getting good jobs. They're making as much money as we are. Not fairness, not equity, not as things should be, but a disadvantage.
Let's make it work. That's the problem. They have to find a way to make it work. Period.
And to learn the truth and accept the truth is the only way that's going to happen.
True.
The indignities, the murders, the rapes, the everything that happened over the last 400 years, there's not a lot of ways to make that right. You can't fix
the past. You
the
can
past.
just start from here and move forward in the correct manner.
Yes. That's the only way you can do that.
Well, we're going to get back to this real quick because we could talk about that kind of stuff forever.
Forever.
And maybe we will. But I see here that you performed some poetry at the Village Vanguard up in New York with the renowned Grammy-nominated jazz pianist and composer, Miss Jerry Allen. And also wrote some of the lyrics to her music. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I met Jerry in 1995. I was honored to open for her for a special women's history program that was being put on by the city of Philadelphia and the African American Museum in Philadelphia. At the time, I had a jazz group called Rhapsody, and it included on piano Miss Salima Omar, who Salima has left us, but it was wonderful working with her. We had Carla Benson, who danced the poetry. She was just marvelous. We had Duke Wilson on percussions, and I on vocals as well as poetry, and so I had put together this program and we performed it, and we opened for Jerry Allen, who was a brand new Blue Note artist at the time. She was fabulous. So we talked and we stayed in touch and we became friends, and in a minute, in a heartbeat, Jerry would call me and say, write me something and meet me in New York. There's a ticket for you at the airport. You're flying to Atlanta. You're flying to Detroit. You're flying, she was wonderful. She took me to Paris.
So and you're still doing work today with her?
Well, Jerry passed
Oh.
just this past June.
Oh, so you had done some work with her recently?
Oh, yeah, from 95 until she died in 2017. And it just broke my heart. And somebody called me, I said, no, that's wrong. That's a mistake. You can't. I just talked to Jerry. You're not going to tell me that my girlfriend's not here. She accomplished so much in all the, it was just 60 years old. That's all she was. She was just a baby. She accomplished so much. She won a Guggenheim. She's gotten awards and did things that we can only dream about.
But you know what? Bright stars, a lot of bright stars only burn for a certain amount of time. But they leave so much with us.
Yes.
That's the good thing, that they leave a lot with us.
Oh, Lord, I got a poem for her, too. But the thing about it is that one of the very last things she did, she was working on Ahmad Jamal's book, and she never told him that she was sick and dying. She never told me. I talked to her 2 weeks before on her birthday, and she said to me, Sandra, okay, there's a lot of interest in our concert for the Healing of the Nations, which was a sacred jazz concert that we did in tribute to the victims and survivors of September 11th, and which was performed nationally, and it was so much more than I could ever imagine. But I dreamt the project, and I called Jerry. I said, Jerry, and you'll write the music. She said, Sandra, you really think I could do it? I said, I know you can do that. I said, anyway, God told me you was going to do it, so you going to do it. Meet the Composer gave us the initial funding of, I believe it was $20,000 for the writing of the music and the lyrics. And the state of New Jersey gave us $100,000.
Oh, wow.
They were
all in.
There were 8 Grammy winners there. The state of New Jersey had 660 individuals that were killed that day. And Gordon Theater at Rutgers University had exactly 660 seats.
That's kind of eerie.
Isn't that kind of eerie?
Whoa.
And for the opening of the suite, the concert, Jerry had me speak their names to music. And that in itself was so powerful. The people that performed in that first concert, Andy Bay. And when Andy Bay sang the lyrics that I had written to Jerry's music at the dress rehearsal, I completely lost it and went running off the stage. And Jerry stopped everything and came after me. I said, Jerry, I'm so sorry, but it wasn't me. That could not have been me. This is so beautiful. She said, Sandra, I know it's more than me too. So we know that God is in this. He is in this, he is pushing this, he wants this. And the title came from Revelations 22:2. And the leaves on the trees were for the healing of the nations. The concert is called For the Healing of the Nations. I just feel so blessed that God gave that to me, because he could have given it to anybody. But it happened, and there were like 8-10 Grammy winners in there who all stepped up to sing and to provide. Oh my God, there was Nina Freelon, Mary Stallings, Carmen Lundy, Oliver Lake. I have all their names written down, and I actually have pictures of us all standing there, but it was
one of those spiritual get-togethers that just transcended the regular beings. It just took a life of its own.
Oh, it did.
You can still feel it. I can see it.
I know. Howard University, their gospel choir, Afro Blue, they also sang in it as well, and it included the children from Creative Arts High School in the city of Camden. It was all inclusive, and it was so beautiful. And the leaves on the trees were for the healing of the nations. Because there's so much healing that still needs to happen from that, from so many things. My son-in-law was on the 102nd floor of the second tower on that day. And it was such a strange, eerie feeling. I was feeling all kinds of things, and I'm being told, pray for your children, pray for your children's job, pray for your children's cars, pray for your... So I'm just praying all over the place. And that morning I was off. Don't know why, but I was off from work, and I was sitting in the middle of my living room floor, had just said amen to my prayers, and the phone rang, and I reached over, answered it, and it was my youngest daughter. And she went like, Mommy. And she started, a plane just flew into the World Trade Center, and my husband is in the World Trade Center, and she is asking my permission to lose her mind. And I'm just as calm, and I don't know why. I said, honey, Enzo's okay. He's coming home. She said, Mommy, how can you say that? I said, I don't know how I can say that, but I can say that with all certainty. I said, where are you now? They were living in D.C., in the D.C. area. And she worked near the Pentagon, but when that happened, they were on the phone together. Every morning they'd go to work early, because he had just been promoted and transferred to New York for Aon Corporation. And so every morning they'd go to work, and they'd call each other on the phone, and then he'd get the train home on Friday. And so they were on the phone, and they had both just gotten out of the Air Force. That's where they met. And he saw it, and he's describing it to her on the phone, and he says, I'm coming home. I have no business here. And he hung up the phone and grabbed all of his things, but he went to his boss and said, get everybody out of here now. We are in danger. That was no accident. You know. And his boss, I know her name. Her name was Pamela Gaff. Told him that, well, if you want to go, you can, but there's a lot of confusion, so we'll just wait until things calm down, and then I'll let everybody go. He said, no, now, right now. The day before, Daryl, he's hallway on the 102nd floor, and he sees a door open. And he says to the maintenance guy, what on earth? I never saw that. Where's the door go? He said, that's the stairwell to the ground.
And he never knew that was the stairwell. Wow.
So he grabbed his pictures off the desk, all his personal things, and headed down the stairwell. He made it down to I believe it's the 87th floor when the second plane hit at the 89th. So it just rocked everything and everyone, but he made it out, and he would not tell us everything that he saw or what he had to step over, but he just walked. He walked across the Brooklyn Bridge. I gotta get home. And he said to me, because he called me later that day, he said, Mom, all I could think about was Sodom and Gomorrah. I would not turn and look back or on either side. I just kept walking.
Get out of there.
I had just given him a navy blue Bible, and we had been talking about some things. So, okay, tell you how I know his boss's name. On April 11th, 2002, I am told that I have to go to West Hampton to see this specialist because there was something wrong with my right breast. So I said, Lord, I don't receive that, but I'm going to go because I don't know why I'm being sent. So I went. And in the doctor's office, talking to the nurse, she's got all these tributes to September 11th all over the wall, and my son-in-law had survivor's guilt. He didn't want to live because he lost 200 co-workers, plus the best boss he'd ever had, who was Pamela Gaff. So I'm in the doctor's office and, sitting there and I'm looking at the stuff and I'm like, yeah, my son-in-law was in there too. And she said, I'm so sorry for your loss. I didn't know he got out. By God's grace, he got out. And so she said, oh, what floor? I said 102nd floor. She said, oh, my sister, on 102nd floor. And she said, what company? I said, Aon Corporation. She said, oh my God. So, what her sister did, Pamela, she didn't let anybody leave, but she thought she was protecting them from whatever was down on the ground. But first thing she did was she called her husband and left him a message and said, oh, something, you're going to see it on the news when you land, because he was on a plane somewhere. But we're okay. I just want you to know I love you. The new guy I transferred from D.C., and so he was so wonderful. He told me, get out. He keeps insisting, need to get out, but we're going to wait until things calm down. Then she called her mother and father in California. She told them the same thing. I don't want you to be upset when you wake up and see the news. I'm waking you up, so you'll hear it from me. And then she said, young man named Enzo Rivers, he was just so wonderful. He kept telling me to leave and to let everybody go. But I let him go. And then when things calm down, then I'll let everybody leave early. Well, here I am in the doctor's office, standing there holding this stranger. We're both crying, and I'm reciting poetry to her because she told me that my son-in-law was the most wonderful person, and her sister told her, and I could tell her how much my son-in-law loved and respected Pamela.
And she didn't survive.
No, she died on the phone talking with her mother and father in California. Then she was talking and then suddenly she screamed. So she died on the phone with her parents.
Wow, that's a story. That's a story. And it all wraps up with this project with Jerry Allen that you did for the state of New Jersey. Wow, that's a story.
It is.
That's a story.
I did a CD first called September Will Never Be the Same, but it wasn't enough. So that's why I was so pressed to do more, to help people, everyone, because it's a horrible thing to happen. Devastating.
Well, before I let you go, you promised us a poem.
Yes, I did.
So if this is the time, if you'd like to give it to us, give it to the audience, here is your time.
Thank you. In honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., this is entitled A Legacy That Endures. America's civil rights struggles involved treacherous years, each and every day filled with horror and strife, danger, death, and destruction everywhere. Ignorance and evil equal a difficult life. But there arose a brave, committed black man to lead us during the Montgomery bus boycott, peacefully and steadfastly standing his ground. Back down? No, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would not. Knowing that the simple, basic dream of a decent life, education, a better paying job, should not ensure a cross burning outside your door, placed there by a sheet-wearing mob. Martin despised the cowardly bombing of churches, the lynching and murder of decent black folk, who placed their lives in death's hands simply by attempting to vote. And Martin wouldn't let nobody turn him around. He stood solidly on God's holy word, for he had learned at a very early age that his role was to lead and to serve. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, Martin declared from that racist southern town. And the evildoers responded in anger and hate, determined to pull this upright man down. And so while working and marching tirelessly, each day giving all he had to give, Martin revealed that if a man hasn't discovered something he will die for, then he isn't fit to live. Martin arrived in heaven 50 years ago this year. And what the evildoers never understood is that the evil they thought would devastate, God worked it out for the good. For they foolishly thought to erase Martin from our lives and bring his good work to an end. But each new year that passes by, an even greater MLK mission begins. An empowering day of service. Americans, black and white, making a better way, embracing humanity's most sincere needs, all on Martin's special day. An uncommon love that has continued for 50 years and will be remembered 1,000 times more. Praise God for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his legacy, which will forever endure.
Oh, that was great. That's a lovely, lovely poem on Martin Luther King Day. And we're going to give folks your contact information, which is, your email is Cadillac 711 at gmail.com.
Yes.
Once again, that is Cadillac 711 at gmail.com. And your website is
SandraTurner-Barnes.com.
okay, that's easy enough. SandraTurner-Barnes.com. And we would like to thank you for you to come in and grace our show on Martin Luther King Day.
My pleasure. My pleasure. One of my favorite people in all life. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Turning, life